How's it going, guys? It's Daniel. I just wanted to make this quick video here to talk about appointment setting, why we do it, how we do it, and how we become very effective at it, as this is a very crucial part of what we do as real estate agents. It requires some attention and time and practice to get good at it. So don't expect to be great at it. As with anything that you start doing, and even things that we've done for a long time, we can always improve. But this video should just be a guideline of what we do and how our team does it, and hopefully you guys get something out of this. So the first thing is having the right mindset, and with anything that we do in life, this is true. Really, you could apply this to anything that we attempt to do. So the right mindset, the right attitude is the foundation of it all. I love this quote. It says, "Nothing can stop the man or woman with the right mental attitude from achieving their goal, and nothing on earth can help the man or woman with the wrong mental attitude." Basically saying that the power is in your hands, and it starts with you. Nobody can make you do something that you don't want to do, and nobody can, force you to do it. And but if you have the right attitude, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you from doing it. I truly believe that it really, everything starts with our attitude, and really it starts with having the right attitude starting the day off, because sometimes if you get started on the wrong foot, I talk to my kids a lot about waking up on the wrong side of the bed. It's like when it starts off as a bad attitude in the morning, I can tell my kids are going to be tough to deal with all day. And same thing with us, with adults. If we start off the day with the wrong attitude and thinking negatively about things will just not go our way. It's just the way that the world works. And then the opposite, if you have the right attitude, things just start to fall into place, even when you face those challenges. I love this other quote by Henry Ford: "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Again, you guys know who this is, I'm sure, but he started Ford Motor Company. But what he was known for was really creating the systems and the processes of mass production of cars, and making the assembly lines. So he was a innovator. He was a genius, and in his time, but he understood that your attitude is everything, and what your positive outlook on, can you do something? Can you do it? Can I do it? And that is the foundation. For every no, you're one step closer to a yes. And the reason I say that is because in this business and with any sales, really, you're going to get a lot of no's. When I started with Valpak, it was a coupon envelope that I was selling to businesses, and I'd go door to door, cold calling, knocking on the doors, calling people. People weren't coming to me. I had to go to them, and basically, I think I got told no about 98 times or 99 times out of 100. But if you understand this process, that it's all a numbers game. It's just all a numbers game. And, if you do something enough, the average is going to be in your favor, and you're going to get to that one yes. So if you do something enough and that, I'm going to be told no 95 times for every 100 times I ask somebody, you just know, okay, I just got to ask, 100 people, and I'm going to get 5 yeses. And with the right attitude, when somebody tells you no, you can take that and say, okay, that's okay. I know I'm one step closer to the yes. Okay, so we can either take that as defeat and sulk in it, or we can say, okay, thank you so much because you've given me one step closer to one of the yeses that I know I'm going to get to. I say this a lot. I think this is a key with this as well, and with a lot of things, and just especially in our business. Resilience and persistence are the keys. Resilience, because again, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get you're going to get told no, and you're going to get told no in some not so nice ways sometimes. And this is the determining factor. It's a crossroads between the successful people and the unsuccessful people. Are you going to go down the road to success or not success? And really, it depends on how resilient that you are to face those rejections and to face those challenges. The more resilient you are, the more you'll be able to push off those negative emotions that come with being rejected and be able to move towards the positive. side of it. And persistence, you got to do it over and over and over again. Like with anything, it's human nature. We have a tendency to kind of celebrate maybe if we get one positive thing, we get one yes, but really persistence is the key. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to keep looking for those more yeses. When you get to the no's, you got to push them off, and you got to keep striving to more and more yeses. So I think these are two key factors: is being resilient and persistence in what we do. So the question is, how do we make money in this business? Okay, you make money by taking a commission check and putting it in your bank account. Of course, that check has to have your name on it, and you stick it in your bank account. So we're making money. That's the end goal. But I've just basically made a little process here to show you guys, just to understand, very simply how we earn money in this business. Now, in order to get a commission check, you have to close on a property. So closings lead to commission checks. Okay, closings lead to commission checks. And the next thing that leads to closings, if you back up, is writing a contract. Okay, we have to write contracts in order to lead to a closing. Okay, and that should be one of our goals. And we're just breaking this down really simple, how this industry works, because sometimes I think we get sidetracked on all the little small things that are not important to what we do, and they consume so much of our time. But we just need to focus on these key factors here. So writing contracts lead to closings. Appointments lead to writing contracts. Appointments lead to writing contracts. Okay, so what does this tell us? Appointments lead to commission checks, right? So this is the foundation. This is the beginning of everything that we do. Really, the core of our business is setting appointments for the goal to lead to commission checks. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other things that are going on, and part of what we do, and our slogan is serving people and selling property. So we know that is not the most important thing in life. Okay, so don't get that confused of what I'm trying to say. The most important thing in life ultimately is finding your purpose in God and why you're put here on this earth, and fulfilling that purpose. But this is just a great industry, and I've said it many times, to be able to do that and fulfill that purpose and to meet people and meet needs. But ultimately, if you want to be a real estate agent, these are the key things that you have to focus on. And these are the key indicators of your business. Okay, how many appointments are you setting? How many contracts are you writing? How many closings are happening from those contracts? And then ultimately, how many commission checks and are you able to earn money for your family and make the life that you want here on earth? So we have to focus on these appointments. Appointments are so important, and we have to make them a priority about what we do. So what is an appointment? 3 things. I just kind of broke it down very simple here. One is a buyer consultation, and we do these in a few different ways, but we really try to focus on getting somebody into a place like our office or some quiet place, a coffee shop or something. Coffee shop might not be real quiet, but some place where they can focus on you and you can focus on them, that being the prospect or the potential client. And at this point, and we're going to talk about this in other videos, but this point is where you conduct a great buyer consultation, and this is the beginning of your relationship with these people. So in a buyer consultation, again, we'll talk about this more, but you're basically sharing to them the value of what you do and the value of what you're offering them. Why are you worth 3% or whatever it is to do what you're about to do for them? And we have a process. We go through the contract and explain it and try to get the buyer's wish list, and so we can really understand what they want. But one appointment and one key factor is setting a buyer consultation. We also do these at the house a lot of times. So somebody will call us through an online lead or whatever, and they say, we want to see this house, and we do it. We'll show it to them, guys, right? We'll go show it to them, and sometimes a buyer consultation is a very brief talk that you have with somebody just to explain to them the importance of using a buyer's agent. We don't push this. We don't shove it down their throats. But when it's the right time, we tactfully bring it up and say, I don't know if you've thought about this before. It's in your benefit to have an agent representing you. And we sell it to them by saying, look, we can show you any property. We're not bound to this one property here. As a buyer's agent, if you hired me and you commissioned me to help you, I could show you any property on the market right now. And I would be negotiating for you. I'd be looking out for your interest, talking about those key factors. And sometimes it's just a 1 to 2 minute talk, a little spiel there, but we would consider that an appointment, showing somebody a property, and then for the purpose of hopefully establishing them as a client. 2, seller consultations, listing appointments, whatever you want to call it. Again, we want to get this dialed in really, really, really well, so we're confident, we know what we're saying, and we know the value that we're adding to these people who want to sell their house, who want to sell the biggest asset that they own, and are going to pay you probably more than they would pay most any other person in their life to do something. You got to think about it. It's a big, big deal. It's a big chunk of their money, so we have to take these things seriously. And again, we'll talk about seller consultations, listing appointments in another video, but we're just breaking down what appointments that we're trying to set here. And 3, I just added this because I think it's important, because we can consider another appointment could be just another phone call that's at a better time for the client, because we'll get a lead or somebody will maybe refer us, and you call that potential client, and it's just not the right time. And they might be at work, they might be with their family, but that's okay. Set an appointment for another time to call. That's the key. Set another time. Is there a better time that I can talk to you? I would love to talk to you, and try to take the lead on it and say, would evening, this week, maybe Thursday evening around 6 o'clock, because when we lead the conversation like that, we give them options. Otherwise, it's going to be a passive thing. If they don't establish a time, then before you know it, you're off the phone and you've lost that opportunity. And they say, "Oh, well, call me back, another time." Now, try to set that time. Try to set a specific time and date that you're going to call them back. That's a better time to discuss it. That's so, so important. We're going to talk a little bit about the tone, tempo, and the words that we use. Most face-to-face communication happens through nonverbal means. I studied communications in college, and they talked about this a lot, that a lot of our communication, and most of it when we're talking to somebody, we're face to face with them, a lot of the communication happens through nonverbal. So your body language and your facial expressions and all this stuff, often more important than the words, but not on the phone, email, or text. Okay, the words are everything. The words, your tone, the tempo with your words, because this is all you have. Usually the first time you're having a connection with somebody is not face-to-face. So we really do have to focus on getting your tone, tempo, and the right words down and dialing this in. So think about this. Are you positive sounding? Do you sound positive? Are you bringing positive energy to the conversation? Or are we kind of going at it with the negative attitude? Are we thinking, and this goes back to, what are you thinking? Are you thinking you're going to set an appointment, that you're going to help this client, that you're going to help them make their wishes and dreams come true? Or are you thinking, oh, this is going to be just another no, they're going to reject me? Because that comes out in your tone. And positive sounding. I mean, you want to, does anybody want to work with somebody who's an Eeyore, from Winnie the Pooh, like kind of a ho hum, like negative sounding? Or do you want to work with somebody who's excited to work with you, with great energy, and it's going to be fun to work with, and have a positive attitude? Whether that person is positive or negative, what you do is still attractive to them. By being positive, that's going to be attractive to that person. Speak clearly and not too fast. I have a tendency to do this sometimes, and probably on this video I'll sometimes speak too quickly. But it's so important that we're clear in our communication, and we enunciate the words and we emphasize the words. I have a brother who's an actor, and he talks about this all the time. And when he's talking on TV, for a commercial or a play that he's doing, he talks about the importance of making clear sounding words, and I kind of exaggerated that a little bit, but sometimes we have a tendency, when we get nervous, is to mumble and rush our words, and just try to get through it real quickly. Next thing is just to listen, guys. This is so important. There's a Brian Buffini podcast on listening, and it's one of the greatest tools that you can have. If you have not listened to that, listen to that podcast. It's so, so important. We have to listen to people. Again, one of the nervous things that we do sometimes is to talk over somebody and maybe cut them off if we're not confident in ourselves. But we're servants. We're serving these people as real estate agents. And in order to serve somebody, you have to know what they want. And in order to know what they want, you have to listen to them. You have to listen. Okay. In order to listen, a lot of times we have to prompt them talking. So we have to ask them questions. Okay. What are your wishes in a home? Do you like this area? Do you like that area? Ask open-ended questions, and then listen and just sit back. Give them a minute to talk. Maybe they might pause for a second. Give them some, affirmative, yes, I understand, that kind of thing, and let them talk. Because the more they talk, the more they're going to be comfortable with you, and the more that means they're opening up to you. Again, I can't emphasize the importance of listening in this industry. And then just talking about an attitude of gratitude. It's kind of a funny phrase, but this is so crucial. And Brian Buffini, I refer to him again, but he talks about this is his secret sauce to success. And I truly, truly believe this. The Bible talks about in all things give thanks. In all things give thanks. And that is an attitude. I really believe it comes out. Like when you're thankful and you have a grateful spirit about you and a grateful heart, that comes out in your tone. That comes out in the words that you use. So I try to make a point all the time to show gratitude. And it's not just it's beyond being thankful. We can say, oh, I'm thankful, but you're not really, you can be thankful and not show gratitude. So in other words, someone calls and, I say, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk with you. I would love the opportunity to, meet with you sometime and talk about this further. Could you meet sometime? So always look for a way to show thanks. And this for a couple different reasons. One, people like to work with people who are grateful. It's just, again, it's an attractive thing when someone is just grateful. I mean, the opposite of that is, somebody who's grumbling and complaining. I mean, do you really, if you think about it, want to be around somebody who's just grumbling and complaining, or do you want to be around somebody with the opposite attitude? And the second reason this is really important is it's just good for you. It's good for your soul, and helps you with that resilience and that persistence part of it as well. Because if you're grateful, no matter what the situation, you can keep going. You can keep going. If you've got that grateful spirit, it's like fuel to helping you keep going and to achieving that success. And it's just a great foundation to have when you're doing this stuff, especially when you're talking with somebody for the first time on the phone, and you're going through the process. But at every part along the way, try to find a way to show gratitude to your clients. And I promise you guys, this will return to you in great, great ways, because that's just an attractive thing for people. All right, we'll talk about sales. What is the definition of sales? Because this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to essentially sell ourselves, our services, to someone, whether it's a buyer or seller of real estate. And so we are in the sales business. So we're selling property, but we're also selling our services to them. So you have to think about this. And sales kind of gets a bad rap sometimes, a lot of times, especially real estate sales. I think we get a pretty bad rap. So we have to kind of combat that and really shift our thinking and shift our mindset. Someone once said the wrong definition of sales is trying to get someone to do something they don't want to do. This is what a lot of people think. A lot of people think, if I'm a salesman, or a good salesman, you think of like a car salesman or whatever, can get someone to buy this car that they really don't want to buy, right? And a lot of people think that way, and this is the attitude that we have. But again, we have to shift our minds in thinking that is not the definition of sales we want to live by. Someone said that the degree at which you believe that is the degree at which you will fail at sales. Okay, in other words, the degree at which you believe that sales is trying to get somebody to do something they don't want to do, how much you believe that is how much you're going to fail at sales. You're gonna make a few sales, and there are agents out there, there are salespeople out there in every industry that many call churn and burn agents that do everything they can to get the deal, to get it closed. at the expense of their client. Doesn't matter what they want, what's their best interest, all this stuff. The end goal is to get a closing and get commission check. And you will close some deals if you're good at that, if you're kind of crafty at that. But I tell you, that does not create a long-term lasting business built off of referrals. That does not create that. It gets you quick money, but you will be always trying to drum up new business, and it won't come to you if you approach it with that attitude. So the better definition, and I think one that we really need to focus on, is a process of helping people make decisions that will add to the quality of their life. And I got this from another podcast from Brian Buffini. I should have quoted the guy that did it, but I can't think of his name right now. But this is such a great definition, a process of helping people make decisions that will add to the quality of their life. And when we approach it that way, that takes the pressure off of us, because we're not, it takes the pressure and the guilt that could come with the attitude of trying to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do. So that relieves us. And look, I'm here to help you, and I want to make your life better. I want to help you make a decision that will increase the quality of your life. If we have that attitude, that's going to come out in everything that we do and that we say, and you're going to do it. That's going to manifest in what you do if you understand it as that definition. So we have to understand their need and desires, and then try to meet them. Okay, so again, that goes back to listening. So when in doubt, ask questions and listen. So we have to understand, we have to learn them, we have to know what they need. What kind of how big is their family? How much space do they need? Do they want to be close to amenities? And then what do they want? They really want a deck. They really want a rancher for one level living. Whatever it is, we have to understand those things before we can even try to meet them. So in the beginning, I was kind of like putting myself in all of my clients' shoes, in the sense that I was kind of forcing my own wishes and desires on them, and thinking like, oh, they should buy this house, they should buy that house, working with a buyer, and realize that not everybody has the same preferences as me. It's kind of a silly thing to even say, but like, duh, but you have to realize that, and you have to ask questions, and you have to understand what their needs and what their desires are. So that way you can help increase the quality of their life. Because that's what we are. That we're out there increasing the quality of people's life, helping them make probably one of the biggest decisions they'll make, spending more money on this one item than any other item. And it's a huge, weighty task. But you have to understand them. You have to know them in order to help them do it well. Okay, because it's all about them. It's all about serving the client. All right, talking about follow-up a little bit here before we get into the real process. But I've shown a lot of people this before. This is from grantcardone.com. But follow-up is so crucial. Okay, the fortune is in the follow-up. You guys have probably heard that phrase. I'll just read through these stats really quickly. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. I mean, that is insane. That's half of the people in sales never follow up with a prospect. Okay, I mean, just think of this as dollars left on the table, money just left on the table. So half of the people that come in are never followed up with. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. Okay, so 1 out of every 4 make a second contact, so maybe call, text, or email, and then it's done. The prospect is gone, and it's pushed down the list. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Okay, so obviously the number's getting down here. You're almost to 1 in 10. 12% of salespeople make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Okay, I would venture to say that 10% of the people are the ones who are the most successful. Okay, so this is the kicker. These things here. So 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Okay. So if we just made 1 contact, 2% of those sales, 1 out of 50, that's how many sales are made. 1 out of 50 on the first contact. Okay, so that's a pretty low number. Obviously, it goes up by 1% on the second contact. Okay, it goes up by 1%. So 3% of sales are made on the second contact. Okay. Goes up a little bit more on the third contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. Okay, so you guys getting the trend here that more contacts equal more sales, but 3 is really not the big kicker. Okay, actually, even though it's more than doubled of the first contact, but it's really not the big kicker. But look at this. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact, so it doubled from the previous. So if you make a habit of making 4 contacts over 3, your sales are going to double. If these stats are true, and I believe these are true, they're research stuff. So if you make 4 contacts, if you make a practice of doing that versus 3, your sales will theoretically double. But look at this. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So the key to this, the key to setting these appointments, and which ultimately lead to commission checks, is follow up. I'm telling you guys, I can't emphasize this part anymore. Sometimes we get the prospect and we get discouraged, and we see a name and we think negatively of that name, and a negative image or thought comes to our heads. I don't want to call that person again. I'm not in a great attitude today. I don't want to text him again. I don't want to friend him on Facebook, whatever, but really you're losing sales. You're losing out on money. You're losing opportunities, if you want to look at it this way, to serve people and better their lives. And, we're losing opportunities. No matter what way you look at it, if we're not contacting people relentlessly and following up at least 5 times. I mean, this is what this says: 5 to 12 contacts. So the fortune's in the follow-up. If you want to make money in this business, it's just a very easy equation. You have to follow up. You got to follow up. If you want to be an average real estate agent, that the average agent drops out in 2 years. I think they say it's 90% of realtors drop out in the first 2 years. So 9 out of 10 people drop out in this business in 2 years. Follow up once. If that's what you want to do, just follow up one time. If you want to be successful, if you want to be in that 10%, be relentless in your follow-up, okay? That's what we're trying to get at here. So what is follow-up? So what are we doing when we follow up with somebody? So a lead comes in and maybe we don't set an appointment, or maybe they're not on the phone, or our goal is to ultimately set that appointment. But what we're doing is, one, we're educating them. So we're educating them on how we can serve them. We're educating them on properties. We're educating them on areas that they're looking for. Sometimes it takes several phone conversations with people before they're ready to make a decision to even meet you face to face, or decide that you're the person that they want to work with. So, but you're educating them. You're showing them the value of what you're doing. You're nurturing relationships. Okay, the more you talk to someone on the phone, the more they get to know you, and you're just building that relationship. And I'm telling you guys, this is a business of relationships. So you're nurturing, and you're also building that relationship. So you're stacking on top of deeper and deeper relationships. You're providing long-term value for people. So you don't want to be in their lives just a day in this business. You don't want to be in their lives even a week. You want to be a partner for somebody for life. Like, you want to be that guy or girl, man or woman that people say, hey, talking to their second cousin at Christmas and say, you need to use this real estate agent. They helped me so much. They've been with me for so many years. They bought and sold properties, and you're providing long-term value so that your business will grow from it through referrals and through the same repeat clients, past clients. So staying top of mind. Okay. So, I can forget how many thousands of times that we as Americans are advertised to every day, but it's something like thousands. I mean, it's so crazy that we're trying to be sold on something, and what happens is our minds get distracted, right? We go in different directions, and our brain is just like this cup. When you fill it up with water, it just overflows. When you put more in, something else has got to go out. So the key of this and staying top of mind, what this means is you're still pouring yourself into their brain and solidifying who you are, what you do, and how you can help them by staying top of mind. And you're doing this by following up. People aren't going to remember you. It's no insult to anybody, but one conversation, most of the time somebody's not going to remember you, a month from there, or 6 months, or whatever, a year from that conversation. It just happens. I get sales calls all the time from people trying to sell me advertising. I don't remember these people, and I don't know who they are, but I tell you, the ones who follow up with me, I remember them. Oftentimes I do buy. It's either I'm going to say no and totally reject them, or I'm going to buy from them when the time is right. But the key is staying top of mind, so staying in the forefront of their mind. So when the time is right for them, when the time is right and they're ready to pull the trigger to buy a house, or they're ready to pull the trigger to sell a house, you're the first one that they think of. They think of you as the agent. And you're differentiating yourself from the competition, because I'm telling you, if you go back to the previous slide, the competition is the 48%. I mean, that's most people who never follow up. And then, 1 out of 4 only follow up twice. If you're showing these people that you're relentless in your follow-up, you're showing them also that you're different from people, that you're going to work hard for them, that you're going to, do everything you can to sell their property. You're showing them that you don't give up, right? You're separating yourself from other people who call them. Because what happens a lot of times, people, when they get in the search to buy a home, they start putting their names and addresses in a bunch of different places, and they'll get calls like crazy from tons of different agents. And the question is, how are you going to be different from them? How are you going to be different? How are you separating yourself? And the key to that is following up with them repetitively, following up. Just talk a little bit about online leads and phone call leads. So in this business, and a lot of the leads that we get, people are generally looking for information. They're looking for information about a property, not a realtor. Okay. Now, occasionally some people will go online and say, Google, find me the best realtor or something like that. And so that's when we get a lead that talks about, where we approach it and from that sense, and we sell ourselves as, the best agent for the job. We believe that. We have to believe that. But typically somebody's looking for information about a property, because when they go start, most people, when they start looking and they don't have an agent, or they don't have that friend that referred them an agent, they'll start looking online, start looking on Zillow, on Google, TruliaHomes.com, Realtor.com, all these sites, to start dreaming and start imagining what it would be like to live in this house. And that's when they start the process to get excited. So we have to understand that they're not looking for you, and it's not an insult to us, but they're not looking for you in the beginning. Eventually, you have to turn them around to why they should use you and the importance of using you. But you have to just understand that they're looking for information on a property. Our goal is to show them our value beyond just an information provider, beyond just what a computer could show them, okay? Beyond what Google can show them with a little search. Show them your value. Show them your value that you can negotiate for them, that you're going to save them money. Show them that you're an expert on the area, that the location that they're looking. Show them that you understand the contracts, that you're going to protect their interest and make sure they're taken care of, they're looked after. And this is again, we're shifting from they want information about the house. We give them that. We give them that information about the house. The goal is ultimately to set the appointment and show them the value of what we do. If someone is inquiring about a particular property, I suggest doing 30 seconds of just quick research to learn about the property before calling that person back, if you can. If a phone call comes in, obviously you got a really short time to do that. So the phone call comes in, sometimes I pull up my computer and I'm just, ready to go. And they say, tell me about this property, and I'm just typing it right there, and I pull it up. You try to have as much information as you can about it. I think it's just a good practice just to not even necessarily tell them right up front that this isn't your listing, but you want to show them that you're gonna do everything to get the information for that property. That when they ask you a question about it, oh yeah, I mean, a lot of times I've shown the property. I could say, yes, I've been in this one a few times before. It's this and that. These are the positives. These are the negatives. And that's another point. If you can tell somebody kind of upfront your opinion of the positives and negatives, they'll begin to start trusting you a little bit, in the sense that they don't think you're just trying to push them to this property. But again, the end goal of any lead that comes in, whether it's online, phone call lead, or referral, or anything, is to set that appointment. Get face-to-face. This is a relationship business. Get in front of people. So the goal is to set an appointment. We need to be relentless about setting appointments. Just continue this here. The response time. This is a very interesting stat. So according to Inman News, which is a real estate news company, your odds of conversion drop by 4% if you wait 10 minutes to respond to a lead. And that's just a sign of our times. I mean, people are real quick, short attention span. They're online. They're plugging in their email address. They're clicking, give me more information, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, before they know it, they're bombarded. If you've ever filled out something for insurance online, I just remember my parents did this not too long ago. But they were bombarded with, insurance agents just like calling them relentlessly. And this is just kind of the nature too of in real estate. But in other words, you are 4 times more likely to convert the lead to an appointment if you respond to it in less than 10 minutes. So our goal as our team is to respond in 5 minutes or less, okay? So in order to do that, we have to understand the urgency. When that lead comes in, we have to make that a priority if at all possible. Obviously there are exceptions if you're with a client, if you've designated the family time. Look, guys, if a lead comes in and you're working on, contract stuff, you're just administrative type tasks, that stuff goes to the side, because this is where your money is. This is where your next paycheck is going to come from, is you converting this appointment. And if you wait 10 minutes or longer, your chances just tumble, because what's happening is other people are calling them, other agents are calling them, and they're the ones who are setting the hook and establishing their self as the expert, as the person that's going to help them. You want to be that person. You want to be that person, and in order to do it, you got to do it quick. You got to do it very, very fast when these leads come in, because the shelf life, so to speak, on them, on these online leads especially, they die so quickly. Catch people. The key is to catch people while they're still online. Calling off your sign or still thinking about the property, looking for answers. Your conversion appointment rate will increase dramatically. Okay, so if they call you off a sign, or and they're at the property and they call you, they say, "Hey, tell me about this property," whatever, and you can answer those questions right there. Man, a lot of times I've run out there and say, I'll be right out there. I can be there in 20 minutes. Let me show it to you. I'll let you in, while they're there, and keep them interested, keep them kind of on the line and interested in what they're looking at. Or, if they're online, if they're on Zillow, if they're on, one of our websites, and they're, on maybe a chat lead or something like that. I mean, if they're on just looking for property, looking for information, that is the key time, because you know what? They're focused on it. They might be on a break at work, or they might be, just on their computers at home, or whatever it might be, and they have that time to look. So that is the time and the best time for you to talk to them. Otherwise, you wait 10, 15 minutes, they're off break, they go out to lunch, and they're whatever, and you've lost that huge opportunity to win them over in that small little window that you have. So this is our process. So we're just going to talk about our standard of practice and how we follow up with people and what our goals are here. So follow up our process. So first thing we want to do is call twice within 5 minutes. And I'll talk about that in a second. Then text, then email. Okay. So, but calling is the best way to make a connection. Okay. So calling somebody is the absolute number one priority. Our CRM sends an automatic text, and we're going to set it up to send an automatic email right away as well. But let that be a supplement. Okay. Don't let that be the end all, because the human connection of your voice is what's going to connect them to you and help you to set up that appointment and ultimately close a deal. So, and the reason we call twice is because a lot of times people will see a number and they don't recognize it and they don't answer. But if you call again, your rate of answering, like, I don't remember what it was, but like triples or something like that. I mean, it's crazy. Your rate of answering goes way up. So what I'll do is, call somebody, and then maybe like 30 seconds later, just call them again, and they look at it and they say, okay, this number's trying to call me again. This might be important. So they'll answer. Okay, and then you have that connection with them. You can talk to them on the phone. So this is our process. We call them first. That's the priority. Then we text them. Then we email them. The CRM texts them right away. It basically says that, hey, is this a good time to chat about this property or whatever? But it doesn't hurt to send our own text and just shoot another text to them so they can see 2 of them. They say, I think it was like 98% of texts are read, but it was something like 10% of emails are read. But texting actually definitely gets you a much greater response than email. We can't rely on texting. We can't rely on email. You're going to make money in this business by using your phone, by being on the phone. I'm just telling you, that's the way to do it. And then we leave a note on the CRM. So right now we're using Follow Up Boss, so we just take a note on the CRM. Don't trust your memory. You got to do it right away. Sometimes if it's a phone call, you got to plug in the contact because they're not automatically dumped in there. But leave a note. Hey, this person is, if I talk to them, spoke for 10 minutes, made a great connection. This person is 6 months out. They want this type of property. Blah blah blah. Leave a quick note in there. If you call them and they don't answer, still leave a note. Just say called, left a voicemail. Called twice, left a voicemail, texted, emailed. Okay, so you need to remember that, because eventually these leads pile up, and you, like I said, you cannot trust your memory. You just can't trust it because you'll forget what's going on. It's hard to imagine that in the beginning because you start to think like, well, I'm going to remember every person, but I'm telling you, you're not going to remember. Eventually, it's going to get to a point where you're not going to remember, and you'll rely on your notes. So when that person does call you, and they expect you to remember what you talked about, you can pull up the notes, and you're like, oh, boom, yeah. Last time we talked, you said that you really needed a 3-bedroom house in this neighborhood. I actually looked a little bit and found one. Okay, so you can reference what they talked about before, and then again, you're building that relationship, building that trust, because you're like, oh, well, this person listened to me, so they actually care about what I want. So it's important to take those good notes every contact you have. For a Facebook lead, we followed the same above process. The key is to find them on Facebook and friend them and send them a Facebook message. Okay, people for some reason respond to Facebook messages a lot more than they'll respond to, an email or even a text sometimes. Really, part of it is because they can see your face right there. And they say, okay, this is an actual human. This is, they look like a friendly person. And I'm telling you guys, just like we do it, they'll go on your profile and they'll look and see what posts that you're posting and maybe see a friend that you're mutual with. And, oh, okay, my buddy over here is mutual friends with them, so that's pretty cool. I can make a connection. I'm telling you, friend them on Facebook. That's a supplement to your CRM. And then, we'll talk about this later, but use social media as your friend. Use it as your tool to close deals. So we're doing positive things on social media, positive posts, encouraging things, and then boom, we plug them with a real estate thing to keep top of mind. But if you can friend them on Facebook and you're active on it, you're following up with them in that way, just even passively. And then the next thing we do is to set them on a drip email plan appropriate to the lead. So we have different drip plans. So if it's a long-term nurture lead, somebody says, well, I'm not really seriously about thinking about buying. I'm just kind of exploring. Put them on a long-term drip, and the drip will basically just keep in touch with them, automatically over 18 months. And they're going to remember you through that long-term drip. But again, don't let that be the end all. If they say, hey, I'm thinking about it, it could be next 6 months. Okay, we put them on a different kind of drip that's appropriate to a buyer or a seller or whatever it might be, and we're still following up with the phone. Next thing, call again later in the same day. This is if you have not gotten a connection, because sometimes the timing is just wrong for the people. So we call them again later in that same day, and again, your chances of connecting with somebody increase. And then what we do is call on day 2 and day 3, so the next day and then the following day. And then after that, this is assuming we have not made a connection with them. We call once a week until basically you get them to tell you to not call you anymore, or you set an appointment. Okay? Because what we don't want is we don't want a whole list of leads in your database that you're really not sure about. Like you called a couple times and they might be buying, they might not be, you really don't know, and you haven't really made a connection with them. You want to be able to tag them as a trash lead, or somebody says, don't talk to me anymore, so you don't waste any more time with it. So you don't want to waste any more time. Again, for every no, you're getting one step closer to a yes. So you got to have the attitude that I want to get to these no's so I can really find the people who are going to, really want me to help them, that I can help. So I have just this slide here that says focus on the task. So I meant to put some notes here, but I'm going to say what I was going to say. So focusing on the task is really important, because what happens is when we start to do our follow-up process, our weekly follow-up process, we get distracted with things, just like with anything. So what I encourage you guys to do, and just while you're watching this video, or while you're doing anything, is to put all the other distractions aside. I'm telling you guys, there will always be emails to answer. There will always be text messages to respond to. And you can allow yourself to go, 24/7 just doing menial tasks like that. But you need to focus on the task at hand, and the tasks that we're talking about is setting appointments. And so what I encourage you guys to do is to have a time every day that you set aside to follow up with these people and set appointments. So what I like to do is, every day from 8 to 10 a.m. is just follow up. Just go through my list, go through my prospect list, and say, I'm going to call these people, I'm going to text these people, I'm going to Facebook these people, and I'm putting everything aside. I'm closing windows on my email. I'm turning my my email off on my phone so it doesn't come in and distract me. I'm found a place where there's going to be no distractions with my kids or whatever might be coming, because you need to focus on this task and make it a priority. It has to be a priority, guys. It has to be a priority. So what I encourage you guys to do is even set aside a time every day to sit down, focus on the task of setting appointments. Okay, so this is what I meant to do here. I forgot I had pop-ups. So you can't do big things if you're distracted by small things. Okay, again, the big thing here is setting appointments, and we can't be distracted by the little things, even the things that we feel like might be important. Closing coordinator type stuff that we have a closing coordinator. We that's why they're there. You know, hey, getting this doc signed, getting this here. That's not immediate and crucial. It doesn't have to be done at the moment. But the things that need to be done, the key indicators to your business is setting appointments, right? And how many appointments are you setting? Time block, prioritize. I just talked about that. Remove all distractions. Again, there'll always be emails to check, always text messages to reply to, always contracts to tend to, but don't let those things distract you from setting appointments. These things are crucial. Okay, so continue with our follow-up process. Every contact in the CRM should be in one of the following stages. Every contact should be in one of these stages. And the goal is to move them from one to the other. Okay, so a lead. So this is somebody who we've had no contact yet with, or maybe they told us to follow up with them later. We're still kind of consider this a lead. You know, some people would call it a cold lead or warm lead, whatever. We're just going to call this a lead and make it simple. So somebody who we haven't connected with, even though we got their info, or someone who said to follow up with them later. Okay, so what we do, we're putting them on an email drip, and we're calling and texting them once a week. And we're leaving notes. We're leaving notes in our CRM once a week that we've, what we did, a call, text, just to stay top of mind, just to keep on them until we can get that appointment. Okay, the hot prospect, okay, is someone who we have made some contact and a lead has shown some interest. We put them on a search. Okay, we put them on a search on the MLS, so it's sending them properties automatically that match their criteria. We put together maybe a CMA for them, or we've met them face to face. Okay, this is the definition of somebody who is a hot prospect. Somebody who has shown a little more interest, that we've made some connection with. We've had a face-to-face connection. We've done a CMA, pushing them along the process of getting them to be, they're closer to being a buyer or seller client. Okay, and the goal again is to bring a lead to a hot prospect, and now from a hot prospect to a buyer or seller client. And this is defined by someone who we have a signed agreement with, okay? Whether it's a listing agreement or a buyer broker agreement. This is somebody who we have a signed agreement with, and at this point they've become our client. So again, we want to go from a lead, somebody we've just made no contact or maybe just a little bit of contact, to a hot prospect, somebody who's shown serious interest. They're on a search. We put together a market analysis for them, or we've met them face-to-face at a property, wherever it might be. And then we bring them from a hot prospect to a seller. So that's the goal, just bring them on down the line, and we get an agreement signed with them. So again, the last thing is nurture. Somebody who says this, oh, I'm just browsing, or I'm not quite ready to buy a home, or not quite ready to sell, just maybe curious of what my property might be worth. We must have a stated plan to follow up with them at another time, even if that other time is 6 months from now. So even if that other time says, sure, okay, can I follow up with you in February? Can I just follow up with you in February and see maybe the market has changed? Maybe, your situation has changed. You might be ready. Is it okay if I just give you a call just to check in on you? And when they say that, you say yes, you put an appointment in there, and you say, okay, you're going to call that person, but they're on a nurture status in the CRM. So the goal is to get a lead to a hot prospect to a buyer seller. If we can't get them to one of those things, they're a nurture. If they're none of these things, if somebody just blatantly flat out says, no, don't talk to me, I don't like the sound of your voice, I don't know, something crazy, or they just say, don't call me anymore, they're put into the trash category. We keep them in the CRM, but we put them in the trash category because we know we're not going to follow up with them. We don't want to push somebody to do something, to work with us that really doesn't want to do it, okay, right? You're not helping them, you're not making any money, and you're wasting everybody's time. But every contact should be in one of these categories, and this is how we define them. The goal, again, is to get someone down that process from a lead to a hot prospect to a buyer or seller, okay? And this is done. We go back to the purpose of this video. But this is done by setting appointments. Setting appointments, it's got to be a priority in your business. My goal, I've told myself, if I can set 2 appointments a day, what I've learned is I'm doing pretty well in this business. If you can set 5 a day, you're destroying it. I mean, you're killing it. But my goal at minimum is to set 2 appointments a day. I've told myself that if I set 1 appointment, I'm making a living. Okay, if I just set 1 appointment a day, I'm okay. I'm making a living. If I can set 2 appointments, that's really when I'm starting to profit and building wealth. If I can set 2 appointments every single day. So that's what I encourage you guys to do. Take great notes on every reach out. Again, I talked about this, but don't trust your memory. Your memory's going to get blurred unless you have perfect photographic memory of everything. It's going to get blurred. It's going to get jumbled up. And the worst thing that happened is if somebody calls you that you had this conversation with and you talk to them and they remember you and they liked you and they have all these things that they remember, but you don't remember them. You don't remember what they were looking at. You don't remember their kid's name or something. I mean, take notes on stuff like that. Take notes on their names, their kids' names. This stuff is crucially important. Maybe you take a note that says, okay, their name looks like this pronunciation, but it's actually pronounced this way. That's so important. You get somebody's name right. There's a whole chapter in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, on just remembering someone's name. I mean, it's just so important because people love to hear their names and it makes them feel important. That's what we want to do. We want to serve people and make them feel important. That's what we want to do. So again, don't trust your memory. Take notes on every reach out that we do, on every single reach out. Okay, referral. Okay, as you grow your business, you're going to get more of these. You're going to get more referrals as you treat people well, as you close more deals and people have a good feeling about you and you've done a good job for them. These are going to come in and it's a natural part of this business, but this is what we do. So this is when a past client or someone else that knows you connects you with a prospect, okay? So they say, hey, you need to talk to my friend so-and-so here. They are an awesome real estate agent. This person is a fan of you and they're selling you to this person. This is the greatest compliment that you can receive as a person in sales and will give you more consistent long-term business over any other source. I'm just going back and looking at my source of businesses right now is mostly it's 90% referral and repeat business. And when I get a connection like that, it's already a sold deal. You do less of selling yourself because they've already built that trust with you because their friend or family member who've used you before told them that they can trust you. So it's such an easier, more softer approach when you start doing this. So these are the steps that I highly recommend when you get a referral. Okay, the first step 1 is to thank the person who referred you. They say what's rewarded is repeated, okay? And we talk about that in a second here, but thank the person. Okay, show them that you're so thankful. It's good for you, and it's good for that person that you're showing gratitude to. Thank that person. Thank you so much for sending this person my way. I'll shoot somebody a text, if I get a call from somebody and say, hey, so-and-so referred me to you, I'll shoot that person who referred a text, say, thank you so much. I can't tell you how thankful I am to helping me support myself and my family and what you've done. And so just find a way to be thankful. The second step, call that person right away. I'm telling you, waiting can cost you because a lot of times we get comfortable and we say, oh yeah, they were referred to me, so it's a done deal. But no, you haven't set that connection yet. You haven't made them a client. They're not signed to you. That you still have to do some selling of yourself, but call that prospect right away. And 3, I'll say thank the person who referred you again. I just cannot emphasize this anymore. You cannot be too thankful. And what I like to do, the 4th thing, is to actually send a token of gratitude to the referring friend. Again, because what's rewarded is repeated. When people feel like they're made special and they're part of your business, they're part of your world, they're part of your life, and they feel like you value them, they're going to keep doing it. They're just going to keep sending you people. And so what I do is I send them a little gift card to a restaurant. I say, thank you so much, a little note that says, thank you so much for referring people to me. And again, that's just an attractive personality trait. It's attractive attitude. It's an attitude of gratitude, guys. So I'm telling you, when you get referrals, thank them, show that form of gratitude, and it's going to grow your business like no other source. I'm telling you. And so that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. This is such a crucial part of our business, is setting appointments. Thank you for listening to it. Feel free to go back. I'll have the PowerPoint where you guys can watch it on your own time just to look at it and take notes or whatever. Thanks, guys. All right, bye.